2, 3, yeah! This is Amari Purple Talk. Yes. Welcome to episode 96 of Amari Purple Talk, a podcast where I share my thoughts on the Prince musical singularity. I'm Richard Cole, Imaginationist, comic book myth builder, and the Vic Sage of Funk. Thank you once again for tuning in. Please leave your comments in the comments section below, and please download on your favorite podcast platform. If you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And please continue to send your questions or topic suggestions for Amari Purple Talk. And how you can do that is by clicking the link in the show notes below, either the website link for Amari Communications or by following me on Twitter at RichardCole_now using the hashtag Amari Purple Talk, and your topic or question might just be read in a future episode. All right, so once again, welcome back. We are in episode 96. 4 more episodes to episode 100. Still not sure what to do about that episode as of yet, but try to make it as special as possible. Let's see what else. We also have the Jill Jones Twitter thread as part of the hashtag Prince Twitter thread series. So head over to Twitter. Check it out. So we've already had our first few entries. Mia Boca, which was done by Rhonda Nicole. That was on July 1st. And then my entry for 77 Bleecker Street on July 7th. So definitely check those out. Coming up. Oh, let's see. We've also had on the 9th. G-Spot by I Am Ms. TLC. Check that one out also. Coming up this week will be Violet Blue, which will be explored by Miles Marshall Lewis, and that will be on July 13th. The 14th will be With You by Edgar Cruz, so at Edgar Cruz on Twitter. And then July 15th, She's Always in My Hair by at Tricky Kid 2. So by all means, check out the Prince Twitter threads, the past ones, this current one. This one has been a blast to do. Again, thanks to DJ UMB and Edgar Cruz for once again inviting me to participate. This was a special one. 77 Bleecker Street is probably my favorite Jill Jones B-side, and it was an honor to write that one. And the response from Jill has been 100% positive as well. And also, too, at the end of this Twitter thread, on July 29th, will be a special VIP thread done by Jill Jones herself. So, if you have a Twitter account, by all means, hashtag Prince Twitter thread. Check out the latest. If you're not on Twitter, sign up and check it out. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started with the show. And today's topic, we will tackle Prince documentaries and when will we see them. All right, so we know that there has been talk of a Prince documentary for Netflix. And we also heard maybe about 2 or 3 years ago now, a documentary for Apple TV centering around the 1983 First Avenue show, which saw the debut of Purple Rain, Baby I'm a Star, and I Would Die for You. And It was also Wendy's first professional day on the job as Des Dickerson's replacement on guitar. So again, that one was for Apple TV, but still no official word by the Prince estate on either production as of today. I think Netflix as well as Apple TV are great platforms. Both services have excellent documentaries. On the Netflix side, there's The Two Killings of Sam Cooke, an amazing documentary everyone should check out if you haven't already. Also, on Netflix is Black Godfather, which documents the life of Clarence Avant, probably one of the music industry's greatest record executives of all time. Very powerful documentary, inspiring as well. Those not familiar with Clarence Avant, he's worked with Motown, he's had his own record label. But for a lot of you that are new to the Prince or Purple musical singularity, he was instrumental in having Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis produce one of the acts on his label, the SOS Band, and that started Jam and Lewis's career as producers. From there, they were able to bring Sherelle and Alexander O'Neal to the label and produce some great albums with them, and that set off their career trajectory, which eventually led them to Janet Jackson. So definitely a documentary worth checking out for sure. On the Apple TV side, now I started off because I had to switch phones kind of at the beginning of the year. So with the latest phone that I got, it came with a free trial of Apple TV. And during that trial, as far as documentaries, there's one on the Beastie Boys that was very good. I enjoyed watching that one. And there's one about the year of 1971. And that one was I think it was 6, 7, 8-part documentary talking about mainly the music of that year and how much that music had an impact then as well as now. But not only that, there's excellent coverage of the political as well as the social climate during that time in 1971. So again, if you don't have Apple TV, sign up, even if it's just for a month, check out that documentary as well as the Beastie Boys documentary. And you'll see that definitely, again, both Apple TV and Netflix both have wonderful, well-produced documentaries. And both should be a great fit for either concept for a Prince documentary. So if you remember the early days of Amari Purple Talk, wow, you can almost say that now. The early days of Amari Purple Talk, practically maybe even the first episode, I discussed where the Netflix documentary lost Ava DuVernay as a director due to creative differences. And that was all the way back, or actually that was announced on August 21st of 2019. So it was just like within days of the very first episode of Amari Purple Talk where I talked about that event. And of course, early 2020, kind of pre-pandemic, there were rumors of Ezra Elderman having taken over the directorial duties of the documentary. Again, there has been no official word from the Prince estate, nor any official announcement made by Netflix. as far as, who is the current director on this project. But if you're going to replace if you're going to replace Ava DuVernay as a director, Ezra Elderman isn't a bad choice. He's an Emmy-winning director as well as an Oscar winner for the documentary OJ Made in America, which came out in 2016. I have seen maybe a couple of episodes of that documentary. Haven't just really made the time to watch the rest of it. Not because it was bad. Actually, it was a very good documentary. Pretty heavy documentary to watch as well. But maybe if there's some announcement, or maybe sometime in the near future, I'll probably sit down and rewatch the first 2 episodes and then watch the rest of it. But again, not a bad choice for a director for a Prince documentary. I mean, his background covers other sports documentaries, such as Magic and Bird, A Courtship of Rivals, The Curious Case of Curt Flood. That's one I'll have to check out also. Those not familiar with sports, Curt Flood played for the St. Louis Cardinals, was the first activist to advocate for free agency in the sports world. And even though he wasn't able to reap the full benefits of fighting and winning for that cause, it's opened the door for many an athlete to better their position, whether it's in regards to being with a certain team, or as well as the financial compensation that's due, to your worth as an athlete. So that's one I definitely have to check out for sure. And let's see, other documentaries: Brooklyn Dodgers, Ghost of Flatbush, and let's see what else. Special for the former Big East Conference called Requiem for Big East. And most of these were done for the 30 for 30 series on ESPN. And those have a lot of great documentaries on different sport events, or even specific athletes, or specific teams. So definitely he's got the qualifications to do a Prince documentary. And again, not a bad replacement for Ava DuVernay. But again, no official confirmation from Netflix or the Prince estate regarding Ezra's involvement. Now, with that being said, there is some confirmation that it is at least in production. So around October of last year, it was confirmed by both Jill Jones and Kat Glover, who have both been filmed or had, interviews filmed for the documentary by the producers of the documentary, though the director has not been named by any of the participants. So if you remember, almost practically last year in October, first there was Kat Glover, who had a very bad experience with the producers of the film, feeling as if a lot of the questioning was a bit too personal or in poor taste. But that had been resolved, I believe, between her and the producers. So I guess they were able to complete her interview, or they managed to work something out to get it finished. However, Jill Jones had a very positive experience with the producers, and there were probably a couple of other people around the same time that said that they didn't have a problem with the Netflix producers. But that being said, at least we know it is in production. And usually, these things take time to put together. Usually, I would think maybe at minimum, maybe 2 years. Another documentary that has just been released that you should definitely check out as well is the Summer of Soul documentary directed by Questlove. And that covers the 1969 Harlem Cultural Festival. It was a series of concerts in the summer of 1969, same summer as Woodstock. And because I guess, for whatever reason, not going to get too deep, have my opinions, but it's also spelled out in the documentary as well. But of course, Woodstock got more of the attention and film rights and, album soundtrack rights and, has become the absolute legendary festival of 1969. Whereas the footage from the Harlem Cultural Festival sat in the filmmaker's basement for like 50 years. Nobody appeared to be interested in it. And the documentary does cover that. But beyond that, it is a very, very powerful and emotional documentary, and one that should be seen. So if you have Hulu, by all means check it out. It's also in theaters, so if you feel comfortable to go support your local theater wherever it's playing, go check it out as well. If you don't have Hulu, again, sign up. Even if it's just for a month, check it out. It is, like I said, I highly recommend that film as well. But from the interviews, I know that I guess maybe production on that began as early as 2017. And it was basically Questlove spending maybe I forget how many months, 3 to, let's just say, 6 months of him going through 50 plus hours of footage from the summer of festivals. It was like, I forget how many total, but definitely during the course of the summer, the original filmmaker had compiled about 50 hours worth of footage for this that should have seen the light of day then. It shouldn't have taken 50 years to see such a powerful festival. And it could have maybe shed a light on a few things as well. But better late than never. And definitely, by all means, check that out too. So, yeah. So maybe, a couple of years minimum to produce a documentary. And that's just, in that case, that's just really... 2 hours. Just a 2-hour film where you have, these documentaries that are 6 hours, and, maybe an initial cut could be 4, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, and then it has to be whittled down to 2. But, with the advent of Netflix and other streaming services, we have the luxury of having documentaries that can be multi-part. One in particular on Netflix, Hip Hop Evolution. That's another great one. Multi-parts, and covers, the entire history of hip hop from, its beginnings in the 70s all the way up to present. So that's a good one to check out. Again, the OJ documentary, that's in multi-parts. Also, let's see, coming up on Disney Plus. Now, this was something that was originally intended to be a 2-hour film for theaters. But Disney Plus has now announced that the Beatles Get Back, which is directed by Peter Jackson of Lord of the Rings fame. This will now be a 3-day event over the course of the Thanksgiving holiday. Each episode is about 2 hours, I think. I forget how many parts it's going to be. 3 or 6, I forget. I think it might be 3. But again, that was something that was announced maybe, again, 2 years ago, and is finally going to see an official release. come Thanksgiving weekend. So I'd say, yeah, two years minimum to put together, whether it's a single film or a 3, 4 part, 5 part, 6 part, 8 part thing, which I think Prince should be, you know, maybe 7 parts or something like that. Yeah. So barring any non-disclosure agreements, um, I'm going to assume that they should be at least finished with the main production of it and should be almost ready to go into the post production stage. So during that stage, they'll edit it. They'll probably have like a rough cut of it, which would be depending on, like I said, if it's the singular film, which I'm hoping not for Netflix anyway. I'm hoping it's not a singular 2 hour type of a film, or not even a 4 hour. To me, that wouldn't be enough. But with that being said, if it is a single film, then there would be that sort of 4 hour cut that they'll show to the producers at Netflix that approve these things, and they may recommend to cut it in half, make it a 2 hour thing or whatever. But if it is going to be a multi-part episode, they'll assemble sort of like a rough cut or some kind of sizzle reel of the overall scope of the documentary or the main focus of the documentary. And they'll approve it. And then from there, they'll tighten up the post-production. And, of course, the music will be approved by the estate. And, which song will go here. Which song from the vault's going to go there. And then, maybe by 2022, they'll probably announce a release date. And maybe that release date could be within the same year. So maybe, let's see around January, February, March of 2022. If, here we are, we're in July. So we still got less than 6 more months of this year to go. So we could still get an announcement of a release date while they're still in post-production. And, again, maybe that announcement could be for early 2022 or, maybe June 7th, 2022 or Christmas 2022. Who knows? But that's my guess. My guess is that we will get some kind of an announcement, if nothing else, around the early part of, or I would say this, within the first 6 months of 2022, we should have an announcement, if not sooner, but at least around that time, an announcement of an official release date, who the director's going to be, and what to expect. So that would be the Prince documentary. As far as the First Avenue benefits show from August 3rd, 1983, that was first announced to be broadcast on Apple TV. And again, that was sort of within a year or so of Prince's passing. That was around 2017, I think, when that was announced. But again, there's even less information on this documentary. No director or release date has ever been announced by Apple TV or the Prince estate. And as of today, which is July 12th of 2021, no word on the status of the production. So we don't even know if it is in pre-production, actual production, or even post-production. And that one, because you do have a singular focus, it's focused on one single event. This one, you don't have to do a multi-part episode of a documentary. It could be a single 2-hour film, and we can get enough in those 2 hours for this event. And basically, it'll just come down to interviewing the people that were involved. The revolution, obviously, owners of First Avenue, possibly, let's see, what was that benefit for? Minnesota Dance Theater. if that is still around, or if people involved in running that, if they're still around, uh, interviewing them. Of course, Albert McNolly, director of Purple Rain, because again, what makes this event important in not only Prince musical history, but possibly rock history as well. Again, this was where what you hear on the Purple Rain soundtrack, as well as the movie, I Would Die for You, Baby, I'm a Star, and the sort of complete, uncut version of the song Purple Rain. There was an extra third verse in there. It's basically Prince and the Revolution. The string overdubs, the mixing and the editing of it was done much later to get the version that you hear on the Purple Rain album. And this one, I think you can really just center it around not only just releasing this on Apple TV or wherever it's going to end up at this point, but you can release, or the estate can release, the complete concert of that as a standalone CD and standalone vinyl. I don't know if there's like Blu-ray or DVD rights that would be involved as well, but for those that don't have Apple TV, maybe have it run on Apple TV exclusively for X number of months, and then later just drop a Blu-ray for everyone else. Or this could be the thing that would make more Prince fans sign up for Apple TV if they don't have it already. But that's something I would like to see, not just the documentary itself, because obviously you're going to have footage. There's footage from that event, and I've heard that it at least has been cleaned up, for some type of release, whether you can release the actual show in its entirety. Then there's an idea as well. You can have the documentary film, or show exclusively on Apple TV, and you can release the CD of the actual show, as well as a DVD, Blu-ray of the actual show itself too. And maybe have the documentary as sort of like a bonus feature or something like that too. So, that's an idea, and that's something I would like to see for that one. It's not a matter of which one I'm more excited for. I would lean more towards the Netflix documentary because it will be more of an anthology, dealing with his entire career. And especially if it's in multi-parts, that's something I would be very excited to see. I'm sure there would be some type of CD/vinyl tie-in that would have select cuts from the documentary as well as vault material. I know when Ava DuVernay was attached to that, she was given full access to the vault in regards to that. And, that'd be a good way to market the documentary as well. Have some kind of CD, 2-3 CD set, or 2-3 LP set of songs that are, in the actual documentary. So that, I would say I'm a little bit more excited for. Not to say that I'm not excited for the one about the First Avenue benefit. To me, that I'm just as excited for that one. It's just the scope of the Netflix documentary kind of edges it out a little bit. But at the same time, the First Avenue show documentary would be just as exciting. Again, it's a nice slice of Prince history. And yeah, I know there's detractors that's like, oh, it's the 80s again. And, that's fine. And this is okay. Again, I think without that classic 80s period, we would never be in a position to discuss any of the other periods because they simply would not exist. If Prince was limited to being a one-hit wonder, oh, don't say that. But, if he was regulated to that, then we would not be having this discussion. You know, yes, Stevie Wonder put out great music after the 70s, but all music is subjective. So I think this would be a great idea to do the First Avenue documentary. And then we'll have the Netflix documentary to cover everything else. So you have the early period, the classic period. What happened in the 90s? I would love to see. That would be a 2 hour, maybe 2 episodes alone to cover that period, the whole name change and the fight with Warner Brothers, to really have that put into perspective. There was a documentary that's still floating around. You can see it on things like, I think, IMB TV. I've seen it on Tubi TV. You can even find it on YouTube somewhere. It's called Slave Trade. And that is a pretty good documentary. The downside is that because you don't have, because it was done when Prince was alive still, you didn't have his blessing on it, so you didn't have access to any of the music from it. Or because it was tied, I think it was done in Europe, so the rights issues, I think they had access to certain clips and certain songs, but you still didn't have Prince's full blessing on that one. And it only had Sonny T and Michael B in there. And of course, Alan Leeds is in it as well. But now with an official Prince documentary, you can widen that scope and you can get the perspectives of so many other different people to really give that period some context, which it needs to be discussed. It needs to be debated. It it has to come out. It has to be in there to show not only, the fans or, fans that weren't around in the 90s to really get a full picture of what that whole period was about. Also, too, as an example of anybody present and future that has any interest in the music business whatsoever, to see what, or as an inspiration of what you need to survive or to come out on top in the music business. And it comes down to that thing of ownership and freedom to write and record with whoever you want, to own your masters. So I'm hoping the documentary will cover those perspectives. And then sort of the aftermath, after emancipation, there was that battle that was won. Then there was his publishing battle that was won. And once that was done, and he changed his name back to Prince, then you have him sort of reaping the benefits of winning those two battles, to where the final one was getting the rights to the master recordings. Sadly, he only had 2 short years to enjoy that aspect of it. But hopefully, like I said, if the same quality that is in the 2 killings of Sam Cooke, the same quality that is in Black Godfather or Hip Hop Evolution, or heck, even the films that made us, or even the toys that made us, the same quality and detail that goes into those and what's covered, if that can be covered in that Netflix documentary, I'm all in. So I'm looking forward to it. So very excited to see what's next. And again, even with the First Avenue documentary, I'm excited for that too. I'm hoping, a nice, great 2-hour documentary. Like I said, you can cover a lot in those 2 hours with that one as opposed to trying to cover Prince's entire career, which I think you need multiple episodes, whether it's 3 2-hour ones or 4, 5, 6, 7 hour and a half ones, whatever it takes. So I don't know. We'll wait and see. So again, hopefully with also too with the Apple TV thing, I'm hoping that we'll get an announcement. If not by the end of this year, hopefully within the first 6 months of 2022. I could go without a standalone release. I can go without a box set or super deluxe edition for a year. If you drop both of those in the same year, doesn't matter which order, but if you drop the Apple TV documentary and then drop, the CD of the entire show, DVD of the entire show, I'm cool with that. And then when you drop the Prince documentary, if that's going to be a 3 CD or 3 LP thing or 3 CD, 6 LP thing, I'm all in for that too. So yeah, I can do without whatever the next vault release is or reissue or box set. If you can drop those two things, whether it's 2022, 2023, and you have to give up one for the other, I'm cool with that. But what's most important is, what do you think? Are you still looking forward to these documentaries? Besides the Netflix one, which we know is at least still in production, are you hoping for, 6 episodes, 7 episodes, or 3 or 4 2-hour episodes covering Prince's entire career? First Avenue show? Do you want to see a documentary about that particular event? Do you want to see a live CD to come out alongside of that, as well as a live DVD? Leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. And that is going to end this episode of Amari Purple Talk. Thank you once again for tuning in. Let's see, coming up, I got to make time to do this and hope to have this out by this week sometime. But I've put together my notes and I've done my listening. But stay tuned for Amari Communications channel on YouTube. Will be The Truth, the vinyl versus the CD and streaming. So be on the lookout for that. I put all my notes together. I was going to record this after this episode, but it is very, very, very late. And I got to go to that essentially non-essential gig. Yeah. But, like I said, I'm going to make time this week to put that video together. But check out my video on my Record Store Day haul, which includes the Truth album. But you have my further thoughts and review on the Truth album with the CD vinyl comparison that's coming up. So check that out. Also check out Jam and Lewis's Volume 1 album. Whoo! Man, that is some amazing music. I don't think I've heard music feel that good that hasn't been a Prince reissue or another legacy artist reissue in a long time. This is fresh. It's new music with old friends, from Mariah Carey to Babyface to Mary J. Blige to Usher, Charlie Wilson, and the Master Cool Morris Day and Jerome with The Roots. This is an amazing album. By all means, check this out. It's only available on CD. As far as I know, there's no vinyl for it. But definitely get the CD. Definitely check out your favorite streaming platform and give this album a listen. You will not be disappointed. And until next week, let's be safe. Create your day, create your life, and as always, keep it purple and on the one.